Well, we are on the brink of the start of another exciting fall season here at UB. Always a good chance to welcome in Mark Alnutt to the In the Bullseye Podcast, UB's athletic director and vice president. A lot to talk about, as there always is on the brink of the start of the greatest time of the year for college athletics.
It really is. I mean, it was exciting to see some of the games this past Saturday on the Week 0 contest. That
you got to get us one of those. You got to get us a Week 0 game.
Seem to grow every year,
yeah.
And the reasons behind it are always some reason that, they're always brought to us from a football oversight committee standpoint to give our stamp of approval before it's fully executed. But no, so you have a sense of that. And really what excites me is just campus this time of year. When we have move-in day, which are football program assisted and moving in, you have these bright-eyed freshmen that are coming in, and just you got mom and dad maybe have tears coming down their eyes, and you have one of our football student athletes helping them and engaging with them and encouraging them to become involved on campus, but then also inviting them to our football games. The interlocking UB, which this year we have over 5,000 first-time students, which is a UB record. We have the interlocking UB now at the stadium, which I want to say this is maybe the 5th year at the stadium, which is, again, another opportunity for students to come by. And then we have our Welcome Back Blast, which we had, close to 7,000 people in the stadium. And, again, we're evolving that to where it's not just the students that come out and be a part of those festivities, but also open up to alumni and community members. And there's incredible engagement with our student athletes that are there at the gates, welcoming the students as they come in. We had our basketball program out there. They brought their speaker from practice, and they're playing music and everything. And,
sure.
And just again getting people excited about everything. And you had your various entertainment there. The one that would maybe excite people or maybe gross people out was the bobbing for chicken wings in like a kiddie pool of blue cheese. Can you imagine that, Paul?
No, I do not volunteer me for that.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So,
yeah.
But again, as you talk about just the energy, the excitement of campus, kicking off with just the fall sports, we're here and looking forward to the football team taking the field Thursday night against Minnesota.
Before we dive into a little bit of the specifics of fall sports, football and soccer, I do want to mention and congratulate you on a contract extension for yourself as the vice president and athletic director here through 2030. What does that mean to have that kind of commitment from the university, and what is it about being here that makes you want to stick around here?
Well, I tell people I couldn't have received that extension if it wasn't for the outstanding people I work with. Whether you talk about our coaches, who are all just first-class people that obviously they have the interests of their program, but more importantly, they have the best interests of the student athletes that they bring in to that play for the particular programs. Whether it's support staff, whether it's administration, collaborations with campus. So again, it's the people that I think have positioned, our athletic department to be in a position just to, see that trajectory, see the momentum from last year. And I'm fortunate to lead the program, and, I'm very grateful and honored to Dr. Tripathi for rewarding me with a 5-year contract extension, which again, from the standpoint of stability, but more so from the standpoint of familiarity and growth, we can continue to do that. So I'm looking forward to the next 5 years, but 1 year at a time. Let's look at 2025, 26.
Well, one. I thought you were going to say one game at a time, because that's how you were brought up, and that's how we've all been taught.
Yes.
So let's talk about some games, and we'll get to football in a moment, but I do want you to talk about games that have already started. Soccer already has a bunch of games underway. They've got a big battle coming up for themselves. Volleyball gets going. There's a lot of excitement around those two sports based on what they did last year.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think there's definitely a hunger, so to speak, with our women's soccer program, making it to the Mid-American Conference Championship game and losing to Western Michigan, which, they felt that they didn't put their best game forward. So I know that's in their mouth, so to speak, in terms of, hey, we're going to do everything we need to do to get back to that position and win a championship. So excited about the job that Sean Burke has done with that program, and as we continue to grow that program, and they are always a contender, in the Mid-American Conference, which is exciting. You look at volleyball, and again, Scott Smith being in the position that he's been in, hiring him, excuse me, after my second year on the job, and he being able to, again, grow that program. And for that sport, and also the Mid-American Conference, it's a very strong sport, overall, nationally. But to be a top 4 program in that conference is amazing. And by the way, we had an exhibition match against Syracuse. Hopefully not a sore
you got
subject
bad
here,
news
Paul.
to deliver to this alum?
Yeah, so, typically, as you know, volleyball scoring, it's 3 sets and the match is over. Well, we swept them in 4 sets.
Wow. Okay.
So again, I mean,
that's good news. I'm happy to hear that.
Something like that in terms of the mixture of returners and then newcomers, and then for them to be able to do what they did against a Power 4 program, really gives them an opportunity to move forward this season. So excited about both programs.
All right, let's talk about football that gets the season started Thursday at Minnesota. A big way to get it kicked off against a Big Ten team. You talked about year 2 for your volleyball coach. It's clearly year 2 for Pete Lembo. And I think the interesting thing for Pete is 9 wins last year might have surprised people. There'll be no surprising anyone this year. Have you and Pete talked a little bit about how he might have to approach the season differently with expectations?
Well, I just think obviously, he's going to preach that to the team that this is a new year. You're going to be able to keep them grounded, worry about execution, worry about their assignment, worry about, obviously the growth potential that they have from last year. So, tremendous year last year, but this is a new year. So, for that staff and that program, it's obviously, being in a position that the returners and the younger folks, on the team, have grown and have developed in a way to continue to play championship level football, and then bringing in the right mix of newcomers, whether it's from the transfer portal or from, whether you want to call it traditional recruiting or from the high school ranks, that we have that mix so we can continue to grow this. So, it's going to be the same every year. It's about the program and how you move forward with the program, which I know that message has been delivered because, again, no one owes us anything, and you know what? There's not going to be any surprises. So for our programs, continue doing what we're doing, work hard with the preparation, and be ready to go. The
biggest question I get from people is how was Pete Lembo and the program able to hang on to all of the high-level players, the Red Murdochs of the world, the Al J. Hendersons, and I'll flip it around to let you respond to this as well, too. 11 transfers into the program. All 11 of them are on the depth chart for the season opener at Minnesota. So what have you and your staff and this administration athletically done to help support Pete to be able to buck the trend of what has been almost every other MAC team that has lost a lot of players and sometimes struggled to get people to come?
Yeah, I think it's 2 things. I mean, you can always throw resources at an issue and feel that that's the answer. And you can look across the board, whether you're looking at schools in the Power 4 that are losing, incredible numbers of student athletes or schools at our level. So, the resources are going to continue to grow in terms of what we provide, whether it's Pete, George, or Kristen from a football, men's and women's basketball standpoint. But I think the most important thing is also culture. And, culture is always that buzzword that's just thrown around freely. But, when you have a locker room or you have a program of people that are engaged, people that truly want to be here at Buffalo, people that see how they can grow and develop, within this program, with that could potential open doors for other opportunities, they're all in. So as we continue to maximize the culture aspect of it, and the culture's relationships, internal to the program, but also those relationships external to the program in regards to engaging the community, engaging our alums, obviously how very critically important our campus community is, and also trying to find a way to grow the resources that we can from a rev share, NIL, opportunity standpoint to be able to continue to be competitive in this conference. But ultimately, it's bringing in the right kids, and we can call them kids, but to your point there is we're able to retain a great number of our student athletes in this program. But more importantly, we had a keen eye in the recruiting process, especially when it pertained to the portal, to bring in, those individuals you talked about that are in the too deep and are really going to contribute.
Starting quarterback, starting center, starting wide receiver, just starting safety, just to name a few. Very key players, right?
Exactly
who wanted to be here. And what is that? How proud does that make you that you have kids from outside who say, I want to be a part of the Buffalo program?
Well, again, it makes me extremely proud about the work that not only our kids are doing, but our coaches are doing to be able to identify that talent. It's easy to, especially in this day and age, to just look at stats, or just look at need. Hey, we need this, and what do the stats look like? But ultimately what it is, it's almost like speed dating where, you have to do a very quick evaluation. And a lot of times to get really true evaluation on kids are based on relationships that you might have, in the coaching circles or, with those high school coaches or what have you. So you can just really get a true feel, of that kid and see if that person is a true fit for us.
All right, the Bulls open up their season at Minnesota, and then the following Saturday, it's the home opener against St. Francis of Pennsylvania. And when Bulls fans come to get their first look in person at the 2025 UB football team, they're going to see a few new things here in the stadium, and they may experience a few new things on their way into the stadium. Give everybody the update on a lot of the newness around the football field.
Sure. The newness thing is actually just in the north end zone, a new video board, which we're extremely, extremely excited about to be able to get that going. It's in the same structure as we had previously, but the size of the board itself is 3 times the size of our previous board, which will again just bring more of a greatly involved fan experience. I always joke around, if there's ever a replay on that video board, I can't see if the foot was out of bounds or in bounds or whatever the case might be. But, you have that opportunity to really, be able to engage our fans more, very similar to what we do with basketball, to be able to do things during timeouts, to be able to fulfill our obligations to our sponsors too. Instead of just having some backlit panels that took up, more than half of the video space, now we have opportunity to really showcase our sponsors on a rotating basis and be able to, let's just say this, whenever time you place your TV at home and it's 3 times bigger, you've done something well, so excited about that. Obviously there's some other aesthetics that we're doing around the stadium that's always needed, but I think 2 things that our fans will notice and have to understand, and we're going to communicate at a high level, is we're going to the clear bag policy, which is a policy that's fairly consistent throughout this nation, but also follows suit with what are people who go down to Highmark Stadium or go to Key Bank. They know how that operates. So we'll have that in place. So don't bring in the backpack or don't bring in the suitcase. No one's bringing in a suitcase, but you know what I mean, Pete. We can buy you clear bag at our team store in the Alumni Arena. So that's one piece of it. And then the other piece, and in the past, the Coventry entry, which is the entry just west of the football stadium that goes into
off of Millersport Highway.
Off of Millersport. In the past that's been closed. It's been open ever since I've been here. Well, we're going to go back to closing that entry. And the reason why, well, gosh, Mark, why that's so convenient for me to make that left out of Millersport when I'm coming from Amherst or whatever the case might be. But really the reason why is, the last couple of years, this will be year 3 of us implementing parking in the stadium lot. And that's became so backed up with people coming in. Has created some near accidents with people slamming on their brakes and everything because of the stop and go. And we're also bringing back our tailgate village down that grassy patch right there. So there's going to be a lot of pedestrian traffic as well. So really the plan is just from a safety standpoint, from an ingress standpoint, to close that and find different ways for people to come in. So we'll communicate, different pathways. We talked about, coming in on the north side. I think that's St. Rita, whatever that road is, where you can come in from the north side. If you have parking, permit parking at stadium lot or arena lot back here. So there's going to be opportunities that we're going to over-communicate that, but those are some of the key changes that people will see.
All right, going to be a lot of fun when the Bulls open up at home against St. Francis.
And then the one last thing, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up, is there'll be some activity in the south end zone too. So trying to get fans, closer to the action and, having that opportunity for folks to be able to get down there, in the end zone, not necessarily in the end zone, behind the end zone, but pretty close to the action.
There's only a few people we want in the end zone.
Exactly
Al J. Henderson, Nick McMillan.
There's more. There's more than a few. But then they'll have their eyes focused right on our new video board as well.
Awesome. That'll be great. One other piece of information as it relates to football, it's come out in the last week or so. You have made a schedule deal to take the Bulls down to South Florida a little bit down the road in 2030 to take on the Miami Hurricanes. But I want you to talk a little bit about, I don't know that people always understand how all these things come about, scheduling. And again, just for some background, obviously Minnesota this year. Next year, the Bulls will play at Penn State. Then they're going to play at Michigan, 2028 at Ohio State, and then 2030 Miami. What goes into calling up Miami and saying, hey, can we come down there? Do you want to play us? What's involved in all that?
Gosh, you named out the future schedule from next year.
Hey, I'm excited
Miami.
about it, right?
First criteria is you have to be a top 5 football team, it looks like, with that
I
schedule.
know. You didn't make it you didn't make it easy on Pete Lembo, did you?
Well, I think a couple of things. I mean, with our people have to understand our scheduling philosophy. I say our scheduling philosophy because Pete shares the same philosophy. We want to play one P4 game, 2 comparable group of 5 or 6 games, and then 1 FCS. So when we're going through this, we also have to look for opportunity that makes sense. And for actually both Pete and I, we're on the same page here. Is we don't feel the need to go on the West Coast. It's just too much travel. For a game there and back. So let's try to find opportunities, Midwest, East Coast. So as we put this together, and typically about 5 years out, when you see these, is it's a lot of conversation, a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails. And with the Miami situation, how it came up is Dan Radakovich is the director of athletics down there. And I remember I might have sent him something about 2 years ago, and I might have got back the casual, hey, we'll check into it, we'll see. And when I did it this time around, well, Dan is part of our football oversight committee, and we've had some sidebar conversations on different issues and everything. And I obviously approached him directly, and he said, yeah, let me get back, let me look into it. And then right then and there, he's I think within the same day, he said, Mark, we're in. We'll send you a contract, and we were able to get that deal done. So. It's exciting, too, when you look at these schools. You go back to the Khalil Mack effect, where, you can have a team performance or individual performance that, is going to help propel not only that individual but our program. So we look for those opportunities, the next 5 years and what's scheduled. And then I think the other thing, too, is the one big holdup that, again, it's not a Buffalo issue. It was an SEC issue. There was weight in terms of what they're going to do from an 8-game or 9-game conference schedule. So as you read last week, they decided to do a 9-game conference schedule, beginning in 2026. So now that there is focus and understanding what the SEC is going to do and potentially what the ACC could do.
And the Big Ten is already doing it.
Big Ten's already doing it. Big 12's already doing it. And potentially what the ACC can do to go to 9. So there's a couple of things. You have understanding that these schools are playing 9, but also you have to be more aggressive in terms of your reach outs, in terms of relationships, more than anything in regards to trying to secure, that P4 game. Mm-hmm. So we'll continue to look for those opportunities and also try to find what we feel is competitive but also comparable group of 5, 6 institutions that we can play within the region. And I think also, too, real quick, regionality is important, even though I know we're playing Troy, which is not necessarily a region, but, having UConn, come back here, and that's a 4-year deal. Another opportunity for alumni anytime we can get down to Florida, obviously the Miami game, but you look at FIU.
Next year, right?
That we're playing next year. So it's fun. It's exciting. It's not as easy as, hey, Mark just played this team at this day. Right. It's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, you brought it up, and we'll wrap up here just because we're talking about schedule. For the first time, I believe it's the first time ever, the Bulls will have 7 home games this year, and that was triggered by some schedule maneuverings that has Troy coming up here. Tell everybody that story.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's as simple as UMass joining the MAC. Because we would have been scheduled to go there this year. They came here last year, so that was a 6-year contract that
as a non-conference game last year.
Game.
Yes.
So we were planning to go there, but now that's now a conference game, so we needed to find a non-conference game. So very similar, we saw in this, and we did this last year. once that was announced. So probably February, March, we were able to secure this deal. When I say February, March of 2024 is when we did it. But we wanted to say, okay, who's out there, who's available? No, it doesn't make any sense to go out and play a Fresno State, for example, on the West Coast. And Troy actually had they had a game with UMass that they needed to drop, so it worked out perfectly. And I know the AD at Troy, well, the former AD at Troy, who's no longer there, and we were able to get that deal
He's
done.
Not still mad at you for beating him in the WNIT?
No, he's at Georgia Tech now, so I think he can care less now. He can care less. So
that's why it's a little bit of an oddity of the Bulls having the 7 home games, which nobody here is going to mind. You don't mind it. Pete Lembo doesn't mind it. It's unusual at the MAC level to have 7 home games.
It is, but I think the advantage of this is, as I was explaining earlier to Jonah Brunstein, was we have an opportunity. If we were going to go to, for example, UMass, yes, we get a small guarantee, but generally that's eaten up with travel costs, hotel costs, ground transportation once you get there. So for us, to be able to have the game here, we see it as an additional form of revenue for our program in regards to ticket sales, in regards to concessions, parking, what have you, and an opportunity to have more people get eyes on our program locally and have another opportunity for people to come to a game, which I'll take that benefit to be able to give that back to our great fan base any day rather than going on the road.
All right, always good to catch up with you on the brink of what should be another fun fall here that has already started for some sports and certainly gets going for football with a big Thursday nighter at Minnesota. Mark, we'll see you in the Twin Cities, and thanks for your time as always, and good luck moving forward into the season.
All right, thanks, Paul.
He is Mark Alnutt. He is the Vice President and Director of Athletics here at UB, and he has joined us for this edition of the In the Bullseye Podcast.